February and the cottage garden is starting to peek through. I want to show you what's happening. I've got some really exciting news. I'm just really excited about the pond. I've made a few changes there, so I'm going to show you what's happening and talk about a few plans that I have for this year. As you can hear, it's very quiet today, but the birds are super busy in the garden, and obviously it's that time of year, spring, and they're all looking for places to nest, and we have put some new nest boxes in the garden, so hopefully this year we will have some birds nesting. We put robin boxes as well as something that will be suitable for blue tits and great tits, and they have been actually looking inside, so that's promising. The bird table is always busy, although they've disappeared now obviously because I'm out in the garden. I can watch them from my kitchen window, which is lovely, and very special just to be able to watch the birds feeding. We have blue tits and great tits, we have long-tailed tits, we also have some gold tits that visit us in big groups, so that's really nice, as well as obviously your robins and lots of house sparrows, but they're all welcome. So as I said, we've put some different bird boxes up this year. That's one that's kind of like a robin box, and we've put a few more that are for blue tits, and you can see the beautiful buds on this Clematis. It's going to be great. And this is my Amandii, which is my evergreen Clematis, and again that's got lots of buds on it, and that one's going to flower really soon. It's quite an early one. And again, a new bird box here, and there's one hidden right inside. My husband's made me a double bird box. I don't know if you can see it on the garage wall, but I'm hoping that the sparrows would be interested in that, because they like to live in groups. But actually I've had some blue tits popping in and out recently, checking it out, so I'm hoping that maybe they'll use it. I don't care who uses it, it would just be really nice. It's been there a year now, and last spring, although some blue tits showed some interest, the sparrows shooed them away and then didn't use it themselves, so I was a bit upset. But I'm really hoping this year that somebody will be nesting in there. So right across the top of the garage, on the driveway and all along the fence here, I have a Clematis, and it looks like a tangled up twigs at the moment, but there is signs of life. And this is the Rubens, so Montana Rubens. It is a mile a minute, and I would say don't ever plant one in your garden unless you're prepared to keep it under control. That is my husband's job, I have to say. But it's up the trees and it's everywhere really quickly. They call them mile a minute for a reason. It's no joking. You think you've got your eye on it, and then suddenly they're all over the garden. So they're beautiful when they flower, and I will show you later on when it's flowering. It's absolutely stunning, but you really do have to be on it. But the good thing about the Montana Rubens, apart from the fact it flowers beautifully, is it can be really useful as a screen. It can be really useful to cover up an ugly wall or area. So it is a useful plant, and it is a pretty plant, but it just grows rapidly. And as you can see, it's right over the gate, and again it looks a mess at the moment, but once the leaves are out and once it starts to flower, it's going to look really pretty. Just look at these beautiful buds on my cherry tree waiting to burst open, and it's really funny because the tree just looks like a dead tree for so long, and then suddenly it just bursts into flower. And I've just noticed that there is a flower open, and that just gives me hope. Spring is here. So excited, can't wait to see what happens in the garden this year. So many things I've planted, and I forget what I've planted, and then they come back through, and then I remember what they are. So I'm just really excited to see how it matures this year. It's still a new garden, and yeah, it's maturing, and it's just going to take a little while. So it's interesting to see what survived the winter and what hasn't. So there are lots of geraniums popping through here, there and everywhere. I love them. They just grow into domes, they flower for a long time, they're good for filling up gaps, and I've got them all over the garden. This is a peony shooting through. It's been there a few years now. It never flowers. It's in a really sunny position. I don't know why. I'm going to give a really good feed and just be optimistic once again that this year I might get some flowers from it. If not, I don't want to move it because they don't like being moved. I don't know what else to do. So if anybody's got any advice about how to get my peony to flower, please let me know. So these are my white lupins, and they've been there a couple of years now. It was so mild, they came through really early this year, and I was a bit concerned because obviously we had snow after they'd come through, and I felt that was it for sure, that they would have died and I should have covered them, but they didn't, and they're looking really strong. In fact, there's some more that I planted last year behind them are just coming through, and you can see the difference in the size of the plant, and this is a much more mature plant. So I'm relieved that they've survived. There's lots of alliums growing around them as well, and then beyond that some daisies. So yeah, it's going to be okay. There's a few gaps where I moved the catmint because it got too big. It was across the path too much, and I moved that under the tree. So there's a few things I did move, a few things I probably should have moved. So there's a couple of gaps now, and I need to think about what I need to fill those gaps. I've just got to wait and see, I think, what happens, and it is really a work in progress. This is what I always call the dark corner of the garden, where my beautiful rose is, and at the moment it's looking pretty sad, but there are loads and loads of beautiful shoots on it. I just love this time of year when everything starts to shoot out. And down below there are some lovely geraniums and things peeping through, and I always think spring is just full of hope. In the corner there, that big hump, that is going to be a beautiful fern, and it comes right out and covers the bottom of the rose, which is, it's not a very attractive part of the garden, so actually that covers that really well. And I have a few alliums coming up as well, and I think that might be a hyacinth that I had in a pot last year that I may have just stuck in the ground, but I might be wrong. But we'll have another look in a couple of weeks' time and see what it is. These pots around the pond are full of ferns, and they die back every year, and they just look like nothing at the moment, but in a few months' time these are going to be huge, really elegant, beautiful ferns that will just hang over and really make that garden area look quite attractive. And just a few weeks ago I came out, cleared a lot of the leaves away from the pond area. I moved a very large fern that was had just got too big, so I've moved that underneath the tree, and I've put in something, and it's almost like a gunnera but a smaller one, and I'll have to find out the name of it, but I'm really happy to see that it was in a pot. It didn't do terribly well in a pot last year, so I've put it in where the fern came out, and you can see there's a leaf there, which is brilliant. And my most exciting thing is that in the pond, and I doubt if you'll be able to see it, so you'll have to take my word for it, I've got some frog spawn, and I'm so pleased. I built this pond during the lockdown. Our garden is a walled garden, so it's really difficult for creatures to get in, and I was given some frog spawn to put in. I didn't really know if anything had survived, but obviously it has. And when I was digging the fern up a couple of weeks ago, I actually found under some of the stones I had to move, I found some frogs, and that gave me hope. But yeah, when I found the frog spawn, that made me very excited. So that's the first year, so I know that my pond is working, and I welcome the frogs because they're going to eat the slugs, so it works for us all really well, and it's just a beautiful thing. So yeah, I'll try to just zoom in. You can see, if you see that grey patch in the centre, and it's quite there under the water, right deep under the water, big blob of frog spawn, which is just, I'm just so excited. It's great. On this wall, which is over the decking, which is where the wisteria grows, and you can see it at the moment, it just looks like a tangled pile of twigs, but very soon that's going to be full of green and hanging and be quite beautiful, and I'm really hoping it's going to flower this year. It's been there a few years now, and they do take their time, so we've put some bird boxes up now, and they will be covered, so then hopefully the birds will use that, and a little roosting nest we've put in as well, which is really cute. At the moment, as I say, it looks quite bare, but eventually that's going to look quite pretty. As you know, I like to share all the successes I have in the garden, and also the casualties as well. And I do have a casualty that I'm really upset about, and that is my banana plant this year, because I forgot to wrap it in fleece and it's pretty dead, and I don't think it's at a point of return. I'm not going to move it yet, I'm not going to touch it, I'm just going to wait. I'm always optimistic, but I really think, yeah, last year at the end of the winter, because I'd wrapped it in fleece, it still had a really sturdy green stalk, although a lot of the leaves had died off. But this year it is really floppy and looking really sick. So I hope you enjoyed the quick tour of the cottage garden. It's, as I say, early spring, and I'm really excited about what's going to happen this year. Super excited about the frog spawn and how the cottage garden is going to grow and change. And just to say, you know, it is a small space. You can have a lovely cottage garden in a very small space. So come along with me, see what happens this summer, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all very soon.